I'm going to assume none of you watched that disaster of the first attempt to make this podcast because, I don't know, we were having audio issues. Google Plus really isn't the best service, but it's free. So, with free things, you're going to get crappy technical work. But what we were trying to say and what we were getting to is that this year there's going to be a committee, so it's not all on me anymore. It's not just my voice being heard throughout the league. It's going to be Taylor, who owns the Dallas Cowboys, Jeff, who owns the Washington Redskins, and it's going to be True from the Seahawks. And then those guys voted in Kobe to be the fifth representative along with myself. So we make up the committee. So we're going to be voting on things like trades. If those gentlemen think I was too hard on a penalty or a punishment, those are the guys you want to go to and say, hey, make Logan reconsider this, as well as me. But those are going to be the guys that I listen to strongly. And then everyone else in the league should direct their attention to getting our attention. It shouldn't just be, oh, I'm going to reach out to Logan because he's the commissioner. I want this to be a group effort. And so that's why those five guys are there. Almost think of them as the five guys that matter most to this league. And they're going to be helping me, just add some structure and some professionalism to the league. As well as we're all adults, so there's going to be times where I can't jump on every day, or I might be at work when you have an issue arise, and that's why we have this majority rule kind of set up. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it for the committee.
What did you say?
I think that's it for the committee.
Yeah, I think we're good. I think I was doing that just to test the audio because we were having issues. But, yeah, I think we're good. The committee is pretty solid. The guys who've been around forever. And we mentioned this in the last podcast. Not everyone in the committee agrees. Very rarely, for example, do True and Taylor ever agree on anything. Me and True agree on a lot. But me and Jeff have yet to agree on anything. So the different personalities really represent the league very well, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, like you're saying, is because me and True or you and Jeff usually disagree, at totally two ends of the table, and then you can actually meet on a middle ground, and it pretty much kind of helps out both players and what they think sim is or sim isn't.
Right. And I think a lot of you already know this, but this was never my league. This was never my vision. It was Manny's. And he dropped it on me literally about this same time last year, about 10 days before the game comes out. He tells me he can't run the league anymore, but he wanted me to keep it the same. And I was trying to change things. And so there was a whole identity shift within about 8-day period of how Manny did things, Manny's guys, versus how I wanted to do things. So this is the first full year under my reign, and I think this is going to be our most productive year all around, really. And it speaks to the next topic, the new guys we got in the league. We kept the good guys and we flushed out the bad, and I think we're going to have a great core group of guys this year. And it's only going to be beneficial to everyone. We got our new Chargers guy. We got a new Houston Texans guy.
Giants.
Oh, the Giants. So we really filled up a lot of the divisions. There's obviously like 7 or 6 more teams to go. I got a couple more interviews.
But there's a lot of good teams left. Colts, Steelers.
Yeah.
Patriots.
Hopefully that brings some good owners, because a lot of our good owners want to rebuild. Guys like Hit, other guys like that have no problem rebuilding. So hopefully having these good teams out there will float some interest. Like I said, yeah, I already have 3 guys who are interested in the league. One guy really seems mature just off a bat of an eye. So yeah, we got guys from the military, guys 28 years old. He just wants to kick it, when he's got some free time. He's got about 2 to 3 hours at the end of every night that he just wants to, kick it with some guys. And so he really liked our community feel. Steve came represented by some guys who thought he would be good. They've played with him in other sim leagues as well as the Giants guys. So, and that's already a good division because you got 2 committee members in there. So these new guys should be well taken care of and shouldn't have any issues.
JP's not a slouch either. It's gonna be a tough division, that NFC East.
Tough division, man. You got to save me a wild card spot, man. You know.
I got to save myself one.
That's right. But outside of that, we're looking pretty good. I think we're going to fill those 6 spots pretty quickly. Because we're taking the 2 weeks, we're going to make sure sliders are right. We're going to make sure the league is as healthy as it can be before we start the league. We're not one of those goofy fruitberry type leagues that, you get the game and you pretty much have to load it up and start making roster decisions and basically start the franchise from day one. That's not what we're doing here. Just like in real football, they have OTAs, they have preseason. Consider, when the game comes out from when it starts, that's kind of our preseason. That's kind of our ramp up, starting with this podcast to begin. And that's why we're doing it, to let you guys know how things are going to be ran. Now, we got advancement times every 72 hours. So that's basically 3 days. Even the guy in the military who just joined, who's fighting for our country, which we should all give thanks to, said that 72 hours is enough time. So if a guy from across the world who has to take care of a lot more serious issues says 72 hours is enough time to play your games, that should tell you something about everyone else. Anything else you want to add to that?
Shout out to our military guys.
That's right. A former DBRA, former member, he just joined the Marines. Taylor was telling me, so that's good. I knew he had interest in it already, and Madden was already up in the air for him. So I'd rather have him defending our country because he always beat me in the game. So defend our country and let me live a little bit in the playoffs. But thanks for your service, man. I appreciate everyone who does anything like that. So
3 days instead of 2.5 should net us a full extra season.
Yeah, and hopefully, like I said, we get the structure right. We get guys who love to play, and maybe we get some early advancements, and we can really push this going forward. I think we're in a good place.
Logan and the committee and us will be talking about how to. When we get close to off season, we'll be working to make off season as fast as possible and efficient as possible too. So that'll be later, I guess.
Yeah, I know we have one viewer in here, but I understand that most people are going to watch this on a pre-recorded basis, probably skip around. So that's okay. That's why before every topic, I try to headline it so that way we can move through these topics and get there quickly. Did you want to break down quickly kind of everyone in the division? Just give everyone a divisional picture.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Hold on.
So
I made a divisional note here earlier. I got everybody that's in their division. I'll let you know. All right, we can start with NFC North. So
that's my division, man. That's all mine.
We have
right
a
there.
new guy, Big Buds. He's the Vikings. You got Ryan, who was the Saints last year. He's the Packers. Alex coming back as the Bears, and Logan as the Lions.
Can I just say one thing real fast?
What's up?
Thank God they added the run after the catch option this year, because Tate was absolutely useless last year in Madden 15. I don't know if it was just my bad luck. He got hurt every single game, it seemed like.
Good.
He was so small, and he was built like Reggie Bush. He had the I'm a punk trait, I think. Exactly. So he was. I literally, he was a punk. He would not stay in the field for me. He literally was built like a running back with all these, vision stats and all these things. But I couldn't. His catching stats were unbelievably poor. Like,
hey, Logan, let me tell you something. You're a great mediator, a great host, but nobody cares about Golden Tate.
Okay, well, I'm going to make everyone care.
Wait, let me steer you in another direction. What do you think about our boy Alex coming back as the Bears? Can he bounce back? from last year?
I don't want to make this seem cheesy at all, but Alex is a very risk reward type player. He's a lot like me, and I think that aggressive catch with guys like Alshon Jeffries and Kevin White are going to really bail him out and kind of not bail him out, I guess reward his play style, because that literally is Alex. He's going to throw into double coverage sometimes. And to be fair, that's what they do sometimes with a Kelvin Johnson, with these Alshon Jeffries type guys that can just go up and snag the ball. And so I think that's going to benefit his style.
What do you think about Ryan, who was the Saints, he was in the playoffs almost every year? He's going to be running with the Packers.
This guy has played in the league almost as long as I have. Me and him go way back. He was the Jets. This guy knows defense. If you give him a good defensive team, it's over, man. Like he had the Saints last year, who don't exactly have the best defense. Now they're not terrible, but they're not bad. You give him an elite style defense, and I think I'm going to be chasing him almost every season. Yep. I'm okay with that because he's going to make me better because I know he's that good of a player.
I'm pretty sure he made the playoffs every season last year.
Yeah.
And then we have Big Buds as the Vikings. I don't know anything about him.
I don't know much about him, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Just being a thrill type guy, I can imagine he's going to play somewhat similar. They probably come from the same mold. I think they're really friends in real life, so they probably played a lot of games together. So maybe I can lean on the fact that I know how he plays a bit. But, I mean, we'll see. He's got some weapons.
Well, we got two teams in the NFC South as of now. We got Trill, who was the Vikings. He's going to be the Panthers.
Real quick, just curiosity, what team would you want if you had to take a team in the North? What team would you take?
See, let me explain something. When you are a fan of a good franchise, okay, like the Steelers, the Patriots, the Cowboys, the Packers, you appreciate other good franchises. And no offense, Logan, but it's mostly franchises like the Browns, Lions, Eagles talking trash about everybody else. So it'd have to be the Pack, just because in Dallas we appreciate well-ran franchises. No preference.
You know what that laugh is about, because we had you beat and then the refs decided to bail you out. But that's another story for another day. Talking about those legendary franchises. But
but let's go back to the South so we can move on. What do you think about Trill with the Panthers?
He does like his running quarterbacks, and it is an upgrade from Teddy Bridgewater. I will say that. However, he wasn't expected to do much with the Vikings, and so anytime he won, not saying he wasn't a good player, he pushed me in the division. But no one expected him to be there. So there wasn't that same pressure week in and week out. Now he's taking over the Panthers, not the greatest team, but definitely the greatest team in that division. So he's now the front runner, He took over the worst team in a pretty good division, and now he's taking over the best team in a bad division. He's going to be expected to win a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, he's the top team in that division, so yeah.
And when you look at Madden players, like real life players and Madden players don't always translate. So his Madden players are a lot better than the real life counterparts. Like Funchess, the rookie tight end wide receiver out of Michigan, he is going to be a weapon in Madden day one. In real life, I don't know, but in day one, that's a big target for Cam Newton. So he has no real excuse.
Yep. Well, the only other team we have in the South is Hammy and the Bucks, which he's always a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde player. You never know what you're going to get from him.
You don't.
You could play the worst player in the league, or you could play the best player in the league.
Literally, that's how
any day.
Yeah, we're not making this up. Like,
I remember last year, everybody said how bad he was, and I played him like week 4, and he gave me the worst beating I've ever had in Madden.
Well,
Like
he's
so
a
bad.
yeah, he's a stick to your lane type of guy. Like if you can kind of
Ruffle his
prepare for
feathers.
it, then fine. But he's gonna give you what he's got, and he's not gonna change anything. You know.
No, he's very patient too. He's very patient, old school. But Hammy, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. So moving on to the best division there is the NFC East. You have JP, it's Philadelphia. You have this Heisenberg, he's a new guy as the Giants. Jeff as the Redskins, and you got myself headlining the division as the Cowboys. Yeah.
Just to touch back on the Bucks guy, like he's a real fan of the Buccaneers, and I think that helps you in a game like Madden, especially when you might not be the best player, but it kind of motivates.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I can do other things. Hammy is one of those guys. I think the division we're talking about now, you guys are big fans of your teams. I think that also adds the excitement, the rivalries, just the excitement you can have. Like you and Jeff love to go back and forth, being the Redskins and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I know the new guy coming in. I don't know much about him, but I know he's a huge Giants fan. So I'm sure
awesome.
that thing is gonna carry over that you guys got going on in the division. That you're really counterparting.
Hello? 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 Hello.
Well, I picked it up. I'm not sure exactly how this is going to edit when we have to edit, but it let me come back. So I'm not sure if this is going to be an immense amount of dead air or how that's going to play. But I can edit that once it gets into YouTube. So yeah. I was just letting these people know I don't know how it's gonna sound, because it's literally the same Google Hangout. So it might just be an immense amount of dead time, but I can edit that later on YouTube.
Yeah, you're going to need to. Day one stuff. Computer dying.
Well, I don't actually know what it was. Like, my computer was like, we encountered an error. We need to restart. And I'm like, okay. And then literally it didn't give me any other choice. It just like shut me down. So.
All right, well, we'll wrap up the NFC East. I'm going to win probably. So, all right, NFC West. True's the Hawks.
Wait, hold on. One question about your division. Who do you think is your biggest opponent, your biggest threat?
Me and Jeff always split. We've pretty much split our division games every year since we've been playing. JP's really good. The new guy's going to have a hard time in our division because the Giants.
Because the Giants what?
Me, Jeff, and JP, not great players, but above average. So
yeah,
in order to beat us with the Giants, he's going to have to be great. So
yeah, I would agree. You just have the better team too. So
yeah, I have a better team. So
that also helps a lot. So
it'll be fun.
So we can go on to the next division now.
NFC West. Start with True's the Hawks. Yeah, True's the Hawks. True's good. He's on the committee. He struggled with the Raiders, so we gave him a pass. He's going to be the Hawks this year. Forget True. I don't even want to talk about him. Warren, my boy Warren. He's the Niners. Warren is one of the best defensive players in the game, and he's one of the worst offensive players in the game. So you never know with his team.
That pretty much sums it up. I mean,
yeah.
Honestly, that pretty much sums it up. I can't say anymore.
He will shut you out, but he won't score a lot.
I think
but you never know. He might be better. You know, no disrespect, Warren, you're my boy, but you know, he knows what's up.
It is going to be an offensive-driven Madden this year. So I do think if you were an elite defender and you had trouble on offense, it's going to be your year to take over. I'm just feeling that way. Like, I think if you have a subpar offense. This year's
I just don't think the Niners have an elite defense anymore.
No, they don't. Because
they have a good one, but not like they have been in the past.
Because by the time we get the updated rosters, at best, the linebacker, Aldon Smith, he's going to be a free agent at best.
Yep.
Hopefully he's signed, because I don't know how we're going to handle that in the committee. So hopefully they take that out of our hands. That's a story for another day. Yeah, I think the division's led by the Hawks. I think defensively Warren can compete. Anyone else? The Rams?
Is Chevy playing still?
I don't know. I haven't heard from him in months, so we might have to replace him. But for right now,
he's listed as the Rams, and Chevy's who was he? The
Ravens last year, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good player. Cowboys rule is the Cardinals. I think you'll like that team better than the Giants.
He's my sneaky good player this year that nobody really talked about. No one really thinks is any good, but I think he could surprise some people.
I think he could make the playoffs. He just had a terrible team.
And you got that aggressive catch, and you got some tall receivers out there like Towers. So they're not exactly fast. They're not burners, but they're going to go out and snag the ball at its highest point. So,
well, you ready to go to the AFC?
Yeah, we're good, man.
AFC North. We do have Nelson coming back. He's going to be the Bungles.
And goddamn you, Taylor, for changing the sliders. That dude every damn day tells me about how we're going to change the sliders so much. So,
Nelson?
Yeah. So hopefully he can build a team and compete in the actual game instead of worrying about the sliders every second. But for right now, he's worried about what we're doing more than what he's doing. But I'll speak to his team a bit.
I would. Well, hold on. I want to stop you, and I want to go off on a little side note, a little tangent here about the sliders. Now, I don't speak for the whole committee or Logan. I think maybe they kind of like this idea. We've talked about it a little bit, but with me, the sliders, I want to keep the median statistics, not the outliers, not the guys who are the very worst or the guys who are the very best, but the median statistics the sliders pretty relative to those statistics in real life. You want your interception touchdown ratio. It wants to be I want it to be compared to real life stats, the sliders. So we're going to be adjusting the sliders all the time. I think what we did decide, but we're not going to make the game one side heavy or one side not heavy. I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to try to make it play as natural as possible.
What Nelson believes is that we're going to change the sliders without testing anything. He believes that we're set in our ways so much that we are going to change the sliders before we even have the game. And I told him if that was the case, how can I even change the sliders when I don't own the game? The game is arcadey. Even the developer, I watched the stream today, even the developers pretty much said that the game is going to be easier for casuals. Translation, the game is going to be arcadey. So we most likely, 99% of the time, Nelson is right about this, we will change the sliders. But we won't change it as drastically as he's making it seem. Like he said me and True are going to change the sliders at 12:01 when we get the game before even playing it. That's not true. But we all know the game doesn't play simulation. So we're going to have to change a few things. And he's one of those guys who likes to play the game out of the box and never change anything. So
right.
That is what it is. Going back to we'll touch on the sliders in a few minutes, but going back to the division, just so we don't get too sidetracked.
Right. But Nelson's I guess respected member. We're always going to hear him out, but that's enough about that. Yeah. He is the Bengals. He's going to be the Bengals. And have fun in Cincinnati. I guess
that division, I don't know what to make of that division. Like, not even the users in the division, just like the teams. They're all good teams. They're all good teams, but they have nothing. like they have no franchise corner piece. Like the Bengals have a good team, no quarterback.
Right. Here's why I really don't want to talk about the AFC North is because we don't have a Steelers owner yet. So we have Ravens, Browns, and Bengals, but no Steelers.
Do you think the Steelers are just going to be so overpowered in that division? Because I look at
well, no, yeah, I think so. I think as long as you have an above average owner, I think they're going to be overpowerful.
I believe so too, but see that's the difference because they all have flaws in their division. Like I was saying, like the Bengals don't have an elite quarterback, the Ravens don't have an elite wide receiver. Those things hurt you in Madden, but what the Pittsburgh Steelers lack in real life, which I think is their cornerbacks and specifically just in general their defense, can be made up because of this, because they have speed at linebacker. Ryan Shazier is an unproven guy in real life. He is not a threat in real life as of now, but he has tremendous speed in the game, and you know speed can lead to lurking, it can lead to user interceptions. So that is the dynamic difference when it comes to Madden. So I think they're by far the best team in the division just based on that.
Yep.
Because if you have small receivers in this game, you're not going to be able to do the aggressive catching as well. If you don't have a quarterback with deep accuracy, deep accuracy has already been tweaked enough. If you don't have a quarterback that's at least capable, good luck.
I agree.
But Nelson's a bit like Warren, where he's really good at offense, almost the opposite of Warren, I guess. He's really good on offense. Defensively, I never saw him as a threat. So it'll be interesting to see if he sticks with Andy Dalton, if he tries to make anything else work. I always thought he was a really good offensive player, not so much on the defensive end. So it'll be interesting.
You got Browns guys, the Browns.
Again, a guy with his favorite
Browns.
Team, so that could be good. That's always a good thing because that makes our job easier in the committee. Hopefully there's less trades because usually when you have your favorite team, you don't trade as much.
Right.
The Browns, he's a big Johnny Manziel fan. He said season 2, Johnny Manziel is going to be a legitimate starter because he's going to develop him, and he's a big.
I don't think he's going to be worth developing. I bet he has a low development trait. He's going to be wasting development. He's going to waste his franchise if he tries to develop Manziel. I'm just letting you know that because you get so many points if you're only getting. So you're getting the lowest amount you can get on all your prep, and you're wasting it, in my opinion.
Right.
So his other players and other guys that need to be developed are going to suffer greatly if he tries to develop Manziel. That's a mistake.
What
Unless
else?
they give him a high development rating, they may give him a high development rating. I don't know. Yeah,
And it could change because we're going to wait till after the preseason. So we're going to get the preseason.
He's in his second year. He played 3 years of college, so he's 21, 22. He's already almost 24, and he's rated 72. It's a lost cause.
Do you think waiting for the preseason is going to help or hurt Johnny Manziel? Because we're waiting for the preseason.
It's not going to do anything. The stats out of the preseason aren't going to vary that much.
They help your depth. Yeah, they help your depth players more than anything. So,
if he just goes off, if you have to go off and perform really well to increase in the preseason on your rating.
Yeah.
So
even a good increase is only 3 or 4 points, and I don't think it makes that big a difference.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to bump himself up 4 points. I don't think he's going to bump up any. I think he's going to stay right where he's at. He'll be a fun backup to have, I think, in the future because he can move a little bit, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
J-Rolls moved to the Ravens. Is he still in the league?
Yeah, he's in the league. He just checked with us today.
Okay. He's the Ravens. I think he was the Falcons last year, right?
Yeah.
I think he'll have better luck with the Ravens.
He's a big mutt guy. He loves building a team. Like he loves being. I think he loves being the general manager more than he loves playing the game. So those guys are always interesting and kind of fun to see how they shape up their team.
I'd rather rip my face off than play mud.
Me as well. You know what it is that is a play to win for sports games. Like that should be a free play to win type game, but it's only in the sports genre. It's what it is. But
yeah,
I digress.
All right, AFC South. You got PMC as the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. I don't know. It's one of
They're quarterback and a receiver away, in my opinion.
Do you think like?
I mean, yeah, I think they could definitely be a contending team in Madden if they had a quarterback and a good receiver. Really, they have who they get. What's his name? Jeremy Macklin. So
yeah.
And Alex Smith isn't bad. They would just need an elite quarterback to really contend. I think he'll be average with them the first season or so.
Oh, talking about quarterbacks that should be given a chance. This is a bit off topic, but you should check out Kellen Moore for the Lions in
from Boise.
He's been killing it every preseason, and Madden finally gave him ratings to be my backup quarterback.
Well, let's see what happens when later on in the preseason when people start playing. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to rate a good quarterback performance when he's not starting.
Yeah.
In the preseason, in my opinion.
I'm telling you, every preseason he's gotten better and better, and now he's taking second team reps.
You want me to give you my honest opinion of that guy? I don't think he has the arm strength to make the throws.
No, but he has some of the best
an elite quarterback.
He has some of the best accuracy I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he's very accurate.
I'm being serious.
I don't know.
He threw a hitch to Greg Salas, dude, and that ball was out of his hand so quickly, and Salas hadn't even turned around. The defense isn't even looking at the ball, and Salas turns around, it's right on his shoulder. It's like, how did you know that? I don't know. He's just crazy, but I'm excited.
No, he's got some talent. Without that down the field arm strength from any quarterback, it's hard for me to give him the nod to make the deep 30, 25-yard, 30-yard seam route down the middle. I don't know. You have to be able to make that throw, and I don't know. I think he'll get a shot maybe one day.
Taylor played quarterback, so I'll take his opinion. The reason I brought him up with the Chiefs discussion is maybe in this Madden you don't need such a gunslinger kind of quarterback, because we all know that deep accuracy has been decreased. So maybe having a West Coast quarterback is more conservative in the way to go anyway. So maybe Alex Smith is just perfect for that system.
Yeah, if you can execute the West Coast and be patient enough, you have to have patience to run that. That's the offense I run. I run short routes, running game, and you just have to be patient.
Yeah, it pays off because it's the West Coast offense passing wise is almost like a run game, but it's so slow and methodical. And
yeah, exactly.
And in Madden, where you want to bomb it, where you want to have some fun, it's not the exciting offense.
No.
And
the benefits of it is if you can master it, you have a lot less turnovers and ball possession. And
so maybe a young guy like PMC is going to want his gunslinger quarterback. But I think Alex Smith in this game, opposed to Madden 15, is going to be better because you can throw that rack catch, you can throw that possession catch on purpose.
We think you can.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to give a shout out quarterback. I want to give a shout out to another quarterback since we're talking backups. My boy Jamil Showers from University of El Paso, who my best friend trains down in East Texas. He's gonna win the backup spot. He's gonna beat out Whedon and Vaughn. He's a really big talent. I want you to watch that guy, Jamil Showers, number 7 for the Cowboys. Next time he plays, tell me what you think. Anyway, moving on. Jamil Showers. We have a new guy, Nichols, Texans. I guess that's the newest guy. We don't really know anything about him.
He's a huge Texans
quarterback.
Huge Texans
Ryan Mallett.
fan.
is making some good plays in real life in the preseason, and he does have the arm. And he's been tuteled under Brady for the last 2.5 years. So I like Mallett. I don't think he's going to get any respect in Madden ratings, but in real life, just watch him after the first game. The guy, they opened up the playbook a lot for him. He has a cannon. I think he should start. Who'd they have? Well, they had Hoyer in there too, but he did pretty well as well. And I like Hoyer. I've always been a fan of him. I think last year he played for the Browns, and it's just the worst team.
Yeah.
He did okay, but Texans, they're going to have a good defense.
I'm a huge fan of Ryan Mallett as well. He played for Michigan for 2 years under Carr, then transferred when Hope got there and played last year in Arkansas. But that dude can fling the ball.
I agree.
He reminds me, and this is going to be a bad comparison because people are going to look at the guy I'm saying and think I think he's going to turn into him overnight. Just the way he plays, he reminds me of Brett Favre.
Who?
Brett Favre. Or
I don't. He's got the same arm a bit. Not the same arm, but I see more of Flacco in him.
You do? See, the reason I say Brett Favre is because he'll see double coverage and he'll trust his arm too much. That's also a bad thing, but it can also.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I see that a little bit.
I'm not saying he's going to play for 20 more years. He's going to, lead a franchise.
I didn't think that.
None of that.
You got our boy Hit. He's going to be the Jags, right?
The Jags, and he's talking about rebuilding, and I think he might still be watching the show. So shout out to him. But he thinks he's got to rebuild the Jaguars team, and that team, dude. And
bro, let me tell you something. Hit, you're looking at a playoff run in February, my friend. If you're rebuilding, you get ready for the playoffs in February because you're gonna have some dark nights the first couple seasons, bro.
You think so? I think the Jags could be competitive. Yeah. Dude.
It depends on if Bortles has a high development rating. That's the first thing you do is if he has high development, you make Bortles the man.
Yeah.
Don't even waste time.
But I mean, you look at Yeldon and you look at Robinson and some of the receivers, they're at least passable. So if you're right, if you can build up Bortles fast, sure, it's a rebuild, but it's not a teardown. He's treating it more like a teardown.
No, it's not a teardown at all. I think some of the young people in that defense, after a couple seasons, you make a couple of good draft picks, you get a couple of good free agents, you're going to have a good team. You're going to have a really good team.
Cyprin is a monster, at least in the run stop. So
yeah,
you got that going for you.
That's it for the AFC South. We don't have a Colts yet. The only person we have in the AFC East is Joe. He's the Jets. No Patriots, no Dolphins, no Bills. Tony went to Denver. So let's
talk about that just for a second.
No, let's stay on. We'll get to that. We're on Joe Jets. We got that next. That's the next topic.
All right.
Joe Jets. He's a good Madden player. He's a Jets fan, right?
I believe so, just based off his name. It's a safe.
He's got a good rapport with the league. He's a good player. I think he made the playoffs most of the time last year. I don't know him very much personally, but he's always been a good guy. So he'll be good with the Jets. He'll figure out a way. Yeah,
he's one of the guys that's not exactly chatty. He's not making the trades. He's not in here, chopping it up with us every night. But he shows up for his games. He plays his games, and he's almost like that grumpy man who just does his job. Goes home at night and wants to be alone. That's who he is, and he's very efficient at that type of playing. And you know what? Sometimes that's the best way to play. That's the most sim guys is they don't get caught up in what you think of them. They don't get caught up in all these trades or trying to impress you. They just play the game for what it is. So I always respect a guy like that.
For sure. Okay, now we can go to the West and talk about Denver, Tony.
Okay, I think it was the dumbest move to leave the Bills for the Denver Broncos. And I did it because he really wanted to, and he's been loyal to the league, and so
Yeah, I don't see we gotta give Tony a hard time anytime he wants to do something like that. So I thought it was funny you said
yeah, you're going robot on me just for a minute, man. There you are. But listen, I just think the Bills were a better long-term team than the Denver Broncos.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
That initially you were like, I don't know if I'm gonna let you switch just to fuck with Tony a little bit because that's fun. I don't think it's a problem that he switched, but yeah, I probably would have stayed with the Bills too. I mean, you're gonna have 1 year with Peyton.
The only reason I made him wait is because I had a bunch of people in the wait.
Yeah.
And for possible teams, I didn't want to have to update.
You know what bugs me worse than him picking the Bills and then switching to Denver is that he's a huge Patriots fan and the Patriots are open.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So, okay, whatever, Tony. Douche.
Listen, but I think, don't you believe that the Bills are a better long-term Madden team than the Denver Broncos? He's going to have to replace.
Absolutely.
He's going to have to replace Peyton Manning. He's going to have cap issues, and he's probably going to lose DeMarcus Ware and some other defensive players. I think that might be almost a more rebuild than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, he's got 1 year, and then a bunch of shit's going to happen to that team, I believe.
Yeah.
Because if you look
I mean, if he's the Bills, all he needs to do is get a quarterback, and that team's ready to go.
And they got cap, man. They got cap room. The Denver Broncos they're in trouble cap-wise. I don't know.
Should we give Tony, I guess, for the next day and a half until we hear from him, one free pass chance, and I think it's fair, to go to your home team and go back to the Pats? You get a day and a half. You get 36 hours to switch back.
You know what? I'll agree to that. I don't think he'll take him, though, because I believe it was
you agree to that, though?
I'll do that. But
okay.
I believe it was him who said the reason he doesn't switch the Patriots is because they don't have Madden receivers.
Oh, whatever.
I believe that was him.
They got a Madden quarterback.
They do. But the Patriots are a West Coast team in Madden because they don't have that or they don't have that big 6'4" guy who can go out and snag balls.
Yeah.
And so that scares people in Madden, and I think that's why they're still open.
Our last user we have is go ahead. I'm sorry.
Other than that, I don't really see a problem why you wouldn't have the Patriots. I mean, it is true that their wide receivers are very small.
Well, who cares? It's your team. Like, it's your favorite team. Like, come on.
And you can always draft a receiver or pick up one. Like,
if the Cowboys had the Browns or the Jags rating and roster, I'd still be the Cowboys.
Yeah. I had to fight for the Lions when they were 70 overall. Like, the first 3 years, I couldn't get the Lions. And they weren't good back then, but,
All right, the last person we have to talk about is this Steve guy, Wasted Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to be a good team to have.
We got another viewer in here real fast, so if he wants to ask any questions or just tell me who he is, we can kind of branch off on that a bit. But as far as Steve goes, like, he's a trade-happy guy, man. He seems to want to do things his way, so it'll be interesting to see how he shapes that team. Like, I know he wants to get rid of Phillip Rivers. For whatever reason, he doesn't like Phillip.
Not well. If they add Rivers' new contract, Rivers ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Because Rivers just signed a big extension.
And by the way,
if they have that in the game, then he's not going to be able to move Phillip Rivers, just like I can't move Romo.
And by the way, while we're on that topic, the Cleveland Browns guy asked me a few weeks ago, and I know I posted it in the committee and talked to everyone about one amnesty where you could cut one player and I'll basically reset the cap. That's not happening. Like, I talked to all you guys. Everyone agrees that's not cool. So just on the record, I did talk.
I think it'd be fun to do that if you had like a side league or not as serious league. But for this league, it doesn't fit the MO for sure.
because we're trying to simulate the NFL. So we're going to use the median, like Taylor was talking about. We're not going to look at the best players or the worst players.
But to a defense, hey, it's a fun, good idea. It's not a bad idea, but
it's not a bad idea.
No, it'd be fun to do that, but it's just not what we're gonna do.
But the reason I'm against it is this, because I want to play the game, but I also want the game to be fun outside the game. So guys like the Jacksonville Jaguars, when they're losing, they can look forward to the next season having all that cap. They can look forward to the free agency. Well, if I give a good team like the Chargers a chance to cut their biggest mistakes, it almost makes them better and lessens the bad teams with a lot of cap. So it's just not happening.
No. Yep. What's next on the agenda? We did the players.
Yeah, no custom playbooks. That's another thing
no custom playbooks. We decided too many people took advantage of it last year.
What was it, like a 3-1? The only guy that wanted it was Jeff. So Jeff.
And I was one of the big guys pushing customs last year. And so I've been on both sides. And I was all for it. But then all we had was guys with, an offensive playbook full of 50 money plays. And everybody had the same playbook. And it just wasn't very fun. And people took advantage of it. So, no customs. Yeah.
You can use any playbook that you want, but it just can't be cut. Like, I don't care if you have the Denver Broncos and you want to run a Carolina Panthers pistol scheme with Peyton Manning. Like, I would frown upon it and be like, what the hell are you doing? But you at least can't use any customs.
And I hope they turn off that community playbook, because that is stupid. So.
Oh, giving your plays away?
No, community. You know how, like, there's a search in your playbook in the game where you can go to, like, community plays that, like, the community would call in that situation.
Oh, right.
From every playbook.
Yeah, there were some of the most cheesiest plays they find for you.
Yep.
So,
but just no customs, because you have the same guys, and I would say for a little bit I was guilty too. I think everybody was a little guilty that had a custom of, you just run your same plays that everybody else does, and it's just we're just gonna not do customs. Yep.
It just opened the Pandora's box for bad things to happen if we let it. So I had to slam the door, and I know it upset guys, even in our committee. And we did have a long discussion about it. It wasn't like we just told Jeff he was an idiot and passed along. We had a long discussion. We voted on it even, and it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, and anybody that's upset about that, I just want to let them know that I was all for customs last year.
Yeah,
and we went ahead and tried it, and it got taken advantage of. And I'm telling you right now, it's not good for the league. We had about 3 guys get booted for cheesing from their customs in the last season and a half. Mm-hmm. It just didn't work. It didn't work. So if you are upset about it, I just want you to trust me.
Yeah, I'm not saying you can't lab, you can't be a smart player. You can use any playbook that you want, but you just can't use custom. It's too many plays for one thing, and it just doesn't work.
Yep. All right, that's that. What's next?
Anything else? I think we're pretty...
2-point conversion.
Oh, the 2-point. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, we know it's coming. The NFL's adapting, so of course our sim league has to adapt. So we had a long discussion about it this morning. It came down like this: True doesn't want any 2-point conversion.
No, I don't think he didn't want any. He just wanted to establish like an allocated number of attempts that you have.
He was definitely the most against the 2-point freedom, I'll say. Jeff,
I don't think he was against it. I don't think he was. I think he just wanted a black and white rule.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I know I definitely wanted a more black and white rule because I know what it's like to punish people, and I know what it's like to have to consistently enforce a rule, but also explain the rule. Like, I don't want to have a rule where I'm like, well, you can do this, but you can't do that. You know, what time in the game is it? Where are you at? You know.
Exactly. I did not want to do any of that kind of stuff this year.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, I might be having a job soon. We all have jobs. I do not have the time, nor should I have the time to dedicate it to that kind of
Exactly.
stuff. So,
can I send a message out to everyone that's listening or hears this or might hear this?
Go ahead.
This is just my opinion. I think Logan agrees with some of it, disagrees with some of it. But, and most of the committee, I think, would agree with it too. All you guys, it's so easy. Just do the right thing. If you do the right thing and you know that you didn't do anything wrong or you're not doing anything sketchy, then you're not going to get in trouble, you know? If you're just, you know, doing what any team would do in that situation. I know some of the guys want more gray and black, and that's fine too. But even if you're, sometimes a white and black has a little bit of gray in it too. And as long as, I don't know, I'm not going to get mad or punish anybody that's going to do something that any team would do in that situation.
Right. Now, I understand where you're coming from, but I have to be the harsh guy with a gun on, you know, on the porch waiting for you to get home at night. I have to be that guy, because if I'm not, then everything else kind of snowballs. So if I was just a member, I'd have the same approach. But the truth is, if I can't trust everyone 100%, which is impossible because we have too many personalities and way too many people, I need to make the rule as black and white as possible. That is with the understanding that I'm going to allow it, like, because I know it is transitioning into the NFL. But it's just transitioning into the NFL. We don't see it at a high rate. So we're going to transition to a rule that is transitional. If we do need to tweak it, we can.
And that's the key. That's the key. We can change it if we need to. But
I think if you want to break it down, your idea, I think is what everyone agreed on was the perfect balance.
Well, we kind of bickered and argued about the black and white, or if we should have just trust in the users, or if we should have like a set rule or a number of attempts. But what I came up with and what everybody was kind of, oh yeah, that could work. And I don't know, it might not work, but if you look at just math and point systems, is if you score a touchdown and you are up 8 points, at that point you have to kick a PAT. If you score and you are only up 7 points, you can go for 2, as long, because you know, if you get to 9 points, it's a 2-score game. So
right,
you can go for 2 as long as you're only up by 7 or less points.
Right.
Or 8 or more. 7 or less. I'm sorry, 7 or less. 7 or less.
Yeah, I was going to say it's 7 or less. So basically, if you have an 8-point lead or higher, you can't go for it. So if you're leading 13-0, you can't go for it. If you're leading 7-0, you 6-0, you can obviously go for it. So that is going to be the day one kind of, almost think of it like a patch. Like we'll change it and alter it as we need it, but I think that's a good baseline. And I told Taylor this earlier. I trust 85% of the league, but if I let that other 25% kind of take that freedom and abuse it, then the 85
don't abuse that rule. Yeah, because I mean, I was just thinking, if you were up 3 points, you score a touchdown, you go up 3 with 40 seconds left in the game, and then you go for 2. That's a little sketchy when you could go up 4. So don't abuse it. Don't do something that a team wouldn't do. You know, don't go for 2 if you can go up 4 with 30 seconds left.
Yeah, I mean that goes for every rule though. Every rule, I'm going to enforce every rule how I write it, but that does not mean that every rule doesn't have loopholes or gray areas. So just use common sense, please. Like, I get so many people like, well, you said to mix up your plays. I said, yeah. Well, he's running 5 times. I said, okay, what's he running? And then it finds out that he's running 5 different run plays. Well, you said to mix up your plays, so you shouldn't have to pass it. That's not what the rule means. The rule means don't run the same play and abuse something in that play, you know? So
Yep.
it's kind of like that, you know? Technically,
for sure.
running 5 run plays in a row, and all different plays, technically, by my rules, by the way I wrote it, that's a rule break. But obviously, what I meant was, as long as they're different plays, you know, then you're good. I just don't want, you don't want someone running, you know, PA or the power strong all the way down the field, you know.
Right.
And that's what
And the cheese gameplay, that's a staple in this league. That goes without saying. That's never allowed.
Right.
I consider most of the players above average in this league, and that is not above average play. The goal here is to, you know, for us to have smart, intelligent games, and you know, it's not fun, and you're not really beating anybody when you abuse a play. So that's not fun for anyone.
Anything else you wanted a blanket statement before we wrap?
I just, you know, ready for Tuesday. We don't think we're not talking about things. We are talking about things. Everything is subject to change.
I got that game for free, by the way, baby.
Nice. How'd you do that?
Didn't pay a cent for Madden. Well, I did it with gift cards. So I got it with all gift cards this year. So I didn't put a cent towards my actual real money towards it. So
if you guys are going to be on at midnight, I'll probably be on after midnight. If not, I'll see you,
dude,
next week. Everybody can, you know, I think everybody can have input on sliders. That's going to help everybody.
Oh yeah.
If you want to test sliders and give your input, we want to hear about it, what you see and what you notice. So
that's another thing. I'm going to create a dummy league, and I'm going to just put out the passwords to the chat. And what we're going to do is we're going to play with them for a while in default. Then we're going to tweak things when we talk. Like, okay, so me and Taylor will play a few games on default. Then we'll say, hey, let's try this. Let's see what happens if we turn both pass interferences up to 100, and then we start throwing deep balls to Des Bryant. And then so what I want you to do is, if you're hit, go ahead and go play go and play a Nelson, for example, and see how that plays when you try to defend a guy like you know what
else might be good too is if we run a full league test league at the very beginning, and we can still do it. We'll definitely do what you said too. But if we and then we did like everyday advance, and just until we start the real one, that might help too.
Right.
And just no roster rules, or well, we should probably keep it within the rules of the league, but you know, we can test sliders there, and you know, everybody can get acquainted with the game and their team. That might be good too. Yeah. And nobody's obligated to play. We advance every night.
Obviously, the point of testing sliders is really to try to cheese things. So it's to see, like, can I aggressively catch every time with Calvin Johnson? If that's the case, maybe I need to turn down the wide receiver catch. Maybe I need to turn down the awareness. Maybe I need to turn up a penalty slider. Maybe Nelson will like this. I need to leave something alone. I mean, those are all things. And so you're really trying to break the game. Like, we're almost playing lobby style when you test the sliders. So that way, when you get to the real thing, we know how it plays. Obviously, I can't play.
And also, you have your objectives, which are good, like exactly what you said, and then it goes something I'd already said. You know, that test league could help us with the sliders get close to those normal, median, average statistics.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean we have to change everything. Like, the guys at Operation...
Hey, if it comes out and the sliders are perfect, we won't change a damn thing.
But we all know... Well, I shouldn't say that. We know that's not going to be the case. Okay?
It's not going to be the case.
But if I have to change it less than Madden 15, I'm happy. That's a good thing. That's less work. But guys from Operation Sports will also help us because they own a sim community, and so they they do a lot more testing on it on a bigger scale than we do because there's like 25 of those people who play as part of their job. So obviously we have to take their input, you know. So when it's all said and done, we should have a pretty good representation. How do you think the penalty sliders will affect this year's match?
Yeah, we talked about this. I had, I think, kind of a different opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's all speculation. I was okay with some of these new penalty additions as long as it's, I guess, credible to the game. Like, if there's a holding call, I want to see the hold on direct side of the play, involved in the play, not some phantom hold on the other side of the ball. You know, I just wanted to have some kind of application.
Yeah,
I don't want to be, I guess, penalized for something that is just randomly called.
Yeah, you don't want it to be so much generated. I did see. Now, this is a good thing for you and a bad thing. Like, I watched the stream today with Madden 16, and the defender, the guy was using Joseph Randall, and Joseph Randall broke out of one tackle, and he was turning upfield, and as he was turning upfield, they called a face mask penalty. Now, you couldn't really see the defensive guy grab the face mask, but you could see the offensive helmet move. Like, you saw the penalty more through the offensive guy's perspective than the defensive guy. Like, the defensive guy just looked like he was tackling, and then the offensive helmet moved, and it made a gesture towards his helmet so you could see it jiggling around or whatever, you know. So there was at least some relevance to that, but you didn't really see the defender react to, you know, grabbing the face mask. So maybe that's somewhat in between what you wanted, but at least there was that. You know, at least it wasn't like a normal tackle and they said, well, it was a face mask on that, you know. You did see the offensive player react to the face mask, just not the defensive player. So it'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out when it's in my hands. And by the way, I should be getting it probably about 8 in the morning, the day it comes out, so that'll be good. I did that midnight release stuff. That's not for me anymore, dude. I can't do that. Well, there it is. Taylor just took off. So I think that pretty much means let's wrap it up. I think we had a pretty good show today, considering all the technical difficulties. I guess I'll sign up for the whole committee and everyone involved. Let's have a good season, eh? Take care, guys.